Hey everyone, welcome back to Forte Films and Stills, your go-to place for all things photography. Today we're going to be talking about the essentials for flash photography at a wedding. Let's get started. So first off, why even use flash for wedding photography? Well, it's all about control. Many wedding venues have really tricky lighting scenarios. That's when your flash comes in. This thing can get you out of some really tough situations light-wise so that you can still get incredible pictures no matter what kind of light you're working with. Let's talk a little bit about gear. You really don't need too much to get started with flash for wedding photography. Personally, my main flash that I use at a wedding is the Godox V1. I love this flash because it has a round head which gives a really natural, soft light. This flash also has a magnetic ring around the top for accessories such as this diffuser dome. No, we're not sponsored by Godox, but I think it's a fantastic flash at a fantastic price, and myself and most of the other people in my market use this flash. That being said, if you're looking for something that's more budget friendly, I would highly recommend starting out with one of these newer flashes. These work incredibly well for the price and can definitely get you through any wedding. All right, so you got your flash now. How do you use this on a wedding day? Many photographers start out in TTL mode. However, I recommend using manual mode. It's simpler and gives you complete control. In manual mode, the flash settings don't change unless you change them. Now that you have your flash in manual mode, you may notice that there's a fraction on the screen of the flash. Flash power or brightness is measured in fractions. 1/1 stands for using the full power of the flash. 1/256 stands for using the least amount of flash. The numbers are pretty standard across brands and flashes. I personally find myself generally shooting in the 1/32 or 1/16 range, sometimes as far up as 1/8 or 1/4. Think about it this way. The lower the second number in the fraction is, like 1/1, the more power, the more bright your flash is. While the higher the number, the less powerful, less bright your flash is. Now I know what you may be thinking. How do I determine what my power should be? Before we start talking about how to figure out exactly what your flash settings should be, let's talk about camera settings. The first thing you need to know is that your shutter speed is very important when it comes to using a flash. Your shutter speed needs to be slow enough that it can work in sync with your flash speed. For most flashes, this is generally 1/200 or 1/250. That means your shutter speed is slow enough that it will capture the flash as it happens. If you go over 1/200, as in maybe 1/400, that's when you're going to start to get problems where your camera shutter is going too quick to capture the light from the flash. Now there's a thing called high-speed sync, which can make it possible to shoot at a higher shutter speed, but I'd highly recommend just forget about that for now. Don't worry about it. If it's on your flash, turn it off. It's going to burn up a ton of battery power. Now the first adjustment I make when I'm setting up my camera to use with a flash is put my shutter speed at 1/200. I stay consistent with that no matter where I'm shooting, what I'm shooting, that's how I shoot it. Since generally when I'm using a flash, I'm in darker environments or I'm working with moving subjects such as a bride and groom walking down the aisle or a wedding party doing their grand march, I like to stop my aperture down to 3.2 or 3.5. Somewhere in that range seems to be perfect for me. Lastly, your ISO. This is very important and this is how you can really adjust your exposure as you're using your flash. I like to set my ISO at 500. I feel like that's a really good starting point. You can always increase it later. One problem that this brings up, having these set flash settings, is how do you adjust your exposure if you can't change your shutter speed and you don't want to shoot wide open with your aperture? That's a very good question. The best way to adjust your exposure while using a flash is number one, with your flash power, and number two, by using your ISO. Your ISO will help you capture a lot more of the ambient light and pick up a little bit more of that flash power. Another point to remember is that the higher power your flash is, the longer it will take to reset before you can fire off another flash. So if you're shooting at 1/1, it's gonna take longer than if you would set it at 1/16. 1/16, you can fire off pretty much as many shots as you want, as fast as you want, and you really won't run into any issues with these lithium-ion batteries. Since that is also a big factor, sometimes I will find myself going as high as 2000 or 3000 for my ISO. The nice thing that you're gonna start to find out is that these flash settings start to be very redundant from wedding to wedding. You're gonna get to the point where you can pretty much guess what your flash power needs to be, what your ISO needs to be, and all the rest of your settings to nail the shot perfectly. All right, we talked a little bit about settings for both the camera and the flash. How do we put all these things together to get the perfect exposure with our flash? I'm gonna preface this by noting that I generally fire my flash straight up directly at the ceiling like this. I give it a little slight tilt forward just like that to throw the light a little bit more forward. I do that because it helps diffuse the light and give you a softer shower of light on the subject that you're shooting. When you use something like this diffuser, that also may play a factor into what power you have to use, as you need more light to push through the diffuser. Once in a blue moon, you run into a situation where you do want to turn the flash head directly at the subject. Situations where you want to face the flash head at the subject are oftentimes situations such as you're shooting somebody outside, there's nowhere to bounce the flash off of, or maybe you're using it for dancing pictures. I really like to face my flash head directly at the subject during the dancing portion of the night. I stop down to like F9 so everything stays in focus. That way you nail focus and light every single time. When you do that, if you stop down like I do, you're gonna have to significantly increase your power and maybe increase your ISO as well. For now, let's look at this scenario as if we're shooting directly up at the ceiling. So the first question is, how high is the ceiling? That's the first thing that I'm looking at to judge what my power for my flash needs to be. A higher ceiling means you need a lot more power to fill that bigger space. A low white ceiling, like what we have in the studio, would require a lot less flash power and is a lot easier to use. The second thing that you have to take into consideration is how far away you are from the subject. The closer you are to the subject, the less flash power you need. The further away you are from your subject, the more flash power you need. This can also be referred to as the inverse square law. It's an exact science, but in efforts to keep this as simple as possible, we're not going to get into that. Once you've taken a look at both your ceiling height and your distance from the subject, it's time to start testing your flash power. You set your camera at 1/200 for shutter, you set your camera aperture at 3.2, and you've got your ISO set to 500. In most situations, I'm starting at 1/32, doing a test shot that way and seeing how well the image turned out. If it's not bright enough for my liking, if I don't like the exposure, a lot of times I'll first boost my ISO a little bit, and then after that, if I'm still not liking it, I'll boost my flash to 1/16. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You kind of play around with the settings until you get a result that you like. Since the distance you are from your subject greatly impacts the amount of flash power that you need, I tend to use a prime 35mm lens. I think it's easier to use flash with a wider lens, number one, and number two, since I'm shooting the same focal length, I can always stay more or less the same distance from the subject I'm shooting so that I don't have to change my flash settings all the time. If you move further away, you will have to change your flash settings. If you're too close, you'll have to change your flash settings. Being a wedding photographer, I'm able to cheat like this a little bit where I'm shooting a lot of wedding receptions, speakers. If I'm shooting a speaker, I'll get up in there with a 35mm and then I'll go shoot a reaction shot of a guest, and it works pretty well. You can cheat a little bit on the distance and pull some of that detail back still, but I'd highly recommend trying it out with a 35 prime or something similar and see how that works for you. If you choose to use something with a zoom lens, it can be a little bit challenging with the flash. If you're constantly changing your focal length, you're gonna have to constantly be changing your flash power. It's very beginner friendly just to use a prime lens for these. And that's the basics of how to use a flash for wedding photography. Practice makes perfect, so make sure to experiment before the big day. If this video helped you, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and comment any questions below. This has been Matt with Forte Films and Stills. Happy shooting, and we'll see you on the next video.